143. For what purpose does the gentlelady from Texas rise?
I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 24, printed in Part C of House Report number 111-143, offered by Ms. Eddie Bernice Johnson of Texas.
Pursuant to House Resolution 522, the gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Johnson, and a member opposed will each control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from Texas.
Madam Chairwoman, let me first thank the chair and ranking member of the Committee on Foreign Affairs for their hard work on this entire document and for the privilege of offering this amendment. I rise to claim the time and support of my amendment that would provide assistance for Afghan women legislators. The amendment would create a program in the State Department to support exchanges between Afghanistan and the United States for women legislators, expand Afghan women's participation in the international exchange programs of the Department of State, and promote the advancement of women in the field of politics with the aim of encouraging more women to participate in the civil society. This program would give female lawmakers of the National Assembly of Afghanistan new opportunities to improve their political and administrative skills and to identify and mentor other future qualified women interested in leadership in the public service. A new generation of leaders is helping to pave the way to consolidate and secure a stable democracy in Afghanistan. Afghan women legislators are helping to forge this path and already have contributed significantly to the development of the country's democratic institutions. However, as a group, these women legislators face a unique challenge in navigating their path in the political system because of their gender. Additionally, many obstacles stand in the way of the advancement of the status of females, including violence against women and restriction on women's personal freedom of movement. Given the current challenges with the status of women and rising insecurity, the Afghan women legislators can greatly benefit from increased professional and leadership development. The U.S. and the international community must ensure that Afghan can effectively exercise their rights as citizens. This amendment would also open additional possibilities to take part in an international visitors program and training offered through the State Department, which already maintains a similar programs to encourage women in leadership in other countries. This would be paid out through the customary means for professional exchanges by the state's Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs. Taking part in such programs would not only train current legislators, but encourage more women to participate in Afghan civil society. Exchange programs such as these can help raise the awareness of democratic values. These goals are consistent with the national security objectives for Afghanistan and represent an effective use of our public diplomacy resources. I urge all of my colleagues who support the benefits of international cultural and education exchange to vote yes on this amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Florida rise?
Madam Chair, I ask unanimous consent to claim time in opposition, even though I do not support.
Without objection, gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to rise in support of the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Texas. The women of Afghanistan have taken great strides since the fall of the Taliban to fully take part in all aspects of their society. Women have realized significant gains in the last several years. However, much remains to be done. Laws and regulations passed to safeguard the rights of women must be enforced and respected at the provincial and local levels in order to ensure that women continue to make progress throughout all aspects of Afghan society. It is critical that women legislators of Afghanistan receive the necessary training and support that they need to prevent a return to the intimidation, to the discrimination, to the violence that they faced under the Taliban. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment, and I yield back the balance of our time.
Gentlelady from Texas.
I have no further requests for time, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlelady yields back. The question now occurs on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Texas. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to. Oops, It is now in order to consider Amendment Number 25, printed in Part C of House Report 111-143. For what purpose does the gentlelady from Texas rise?
I have an amendment at the desk.
Clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 25, printed in Part C of House Report number 111-143, offered by Ms. Eddie Bernice Johnson of Texas.
Pursuant to House Resolution 522, the gentlelady from Texas and Ms. Johnson and a member opposed will each control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from Texas.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Let me begin by thanking the Chairman Berman and Chairwoman Congresswoman Ross Latham for all of their hard work and dedication to improving the lives around the world. My amendment affirms that the use of child soldiers is unacceptable. It is a violation of human rights, and the prevention and elimination of child soldiers should be a foreign policy goal of the United States. Around the world, children are being recruited by armed forces and exploited as soldiers. Amnesty International estimates 250,000 children under the age of 18 are thought to be currently fighting in conflicts around the world, and hundreds of thousands are members of armed forces who could be sent into conflict any time. The use of children as soldiers has been universally condemned as horrible and unacceptable. Yet over the last 10 years, hundreds of thousands of children have fought and died in conflicts around the world. Child soldiers are usually forced to live under cruel conditions with inadequate food and little or no access to health care. They're almost always treated cruelly, subjected to beatings and shameful treatment. Girl soldiers are particularly at risk of rape, sexual harassment, and abuse while in combat. They're often forced into marriage arrangements and are a high risk for unwanted pregnancies. As a psychiatric nurse, I have seen firsthand the effects of war. The mental, social, and emotional abuses endured as a child soldier will last them the rest of their lives, and they'll never know how to solve a problem without fighting. I am eager to work with the State Department to ensure that children around the world are front lines of conflicts and in schools and on playgrounds. Children must have the chance to be children. In order to be healthy, happy, and productive adults, we must take a stand. Please join me in expressing to the global community that the use of child soldiers is unacceptable, and I ask my colleagues to vote yes, and I reserve the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentlelady
I ask
from
unanimous consent to claim time in opposition, even though I do not oppose the substance of the amendment.
Without objection, the gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Congress put the force of law behind its condemnation of the use of child soldiers through the Child Soldiers Prevention Act, authored by my good friend from Nebraska, Mr. Fortenberry. This was incorporated into the William Wilberforce Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act and became public law in December 2008. We further opined on this matter in the Child Soldiers Accountability Act of 2008, which became law in October of last year. However, a sense of Congress reaffirming that the use of child soldiers is unacceptable must be supported. I applaud my good friend from Texas for bringing this important issue to our attention. Again, it is right and just to do so. I encourage our colleagues to support this amendment. I yield back the balance of our time.
Gentlelady from Texas.
I have no request for time. I yield back the balance.
Gentlelady yield.
Yes.
Before yielding back, I just want to express my strong support for this. This issue of child soldiers is a very important one, and I appreciate your raising it, as well as some of the other contributions of other members on this issue, and strongly support the resolution.
Thank you very much. I yield.
Gentlelady yields back. The question is now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Texas. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.